as my brother Joe, before he died in 2019, was trying to tell me. I couldn't believe the horror that I went through in the years from 2014 to 2017, sorting out a lot of things and just beginning to break free from the mind control that I had been placed under. And I'm going to tell you, if you think I'm a crackpot, I'm going to be straight up and tell you, you're under mind control. If you don't sit down and pray to Abba Father about whether or not these things are true, and you don't test the spirits to see if they are of Yah, I can tell you, you're under mind control. When you're under mind control, I talked about being landlocked yesterday. I talked about operating under a globe Earth versus a flat Earth, a linear model versus a circular model, a spherical model. And I'm telling you, a lot of people want to believe in globe Earth, and they want to believe you can land on a moon, and they believe you can that the sun is 93 million miles away. Go ahead and have your delusion. If you think I'm a crackpot because I don't teach what the textbooks teach you, I'm not going to tell you that I think the moon landing was real because I don't believe it was. You'll be called a crackpot because NASA surely has all these wonderful instruments that are able to tell you all these statistics about how fast a rocket is going. Where is the rocket located? Surely their instruments aren't lying after they went through all that research and came up with all their conclusions and well studied everything to the T. And they are more educated than you and more experienced than you. Who are you to tell me your opinion, which doesn't count because theirs counts because they are the ones who make the money off of it and I don't? Although I'm educated, unemployed, and now I've become uncivilized. And so Isaiah 66 has a word for you today. And I'm going to tell you, if you're a partial preterist or a full preterist, and you believe all prophecy has been fulfilled, and the prophecy cannot be refulfilled or fulfilled again, and you want to be an amillennialist or be a dispensationalist and tell you a prophecy ain't going to be fulfilled because I'm going to be out of here, I'm going to be raptured. Amillennialism is just another form of the pre-tribulation rapture. You all don't get it. I'm not going to be quiet because of a little tribulation I have to go through, like I've already told you with this thing right here. I'm going to lift it up for you. And there still is, albeit getting a little bit better. I think by the end of the weekend, I'm going to be at least well enough to where I can function a whole lot better. And I'm going to have to. I'm going to have to be totally better. But see, they noticed it today, and they gave me a new rap for it. So praises to YaHuWaH for that. Turn it back on me. It doesn't matter if you're disabled. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. People stomp on you all day long, and if you're disabled, if you got a bad leg, they'll break your arm next. And that's part of Isaiah 66 that YaHuWaH, the Spirit of YaHuWaH, is trying to show me right now. If I have a bad leg, they might try to break my arm next. And if they break your arm, they might just want to amputate, the bottom parts of your legs next, or to amputate your feet. Well, Isaiah 66 actually does talk about something like that. I'm going to tell you what, whenever they feel like they've got a man drugged down all the way to the bottom, it ain't good enough, because I'll tell you what, if they can make the bottom lower by unaliving you, deep sixing you, digging a ditch that you might fall into, that you might be caused to stumble. By the way, the Torah clearly teaches about causing a blind man to fall into a ditch and causing them to stumble and harm themselves. But that's what the United States is all about. And I'm going to tell you what, your church industrial complex is no different. Churches actually are rigged to try to cause you to stumble. Now, when somebody wants to talk to me, oh, Merry Christmas, I tell them I'm really not into that. They think they think, what on my lily livered life am I listening to when I talk to? When I say, hey, Merry Christmas back, because I've made myself clear for years. Don't do it anymore. But if you just aren't going to know that, somebody may know that that's a long. I don't even simply that, because I don't like you got to possible. I, I don't that. I'm bluffing to you. You try to say something back that's still good. Oh, it always not like un Isaiah 66 talks about um how YaHuWaH looks upon and then it talks about how a man will make a sacrifice of a lamb as he cuts off a dog's neck, and how he will kill an ox as if he'd kill a man, or how they would make the oblation of a pig an oblation as of swine's blood. Then it says, YaHuWaH will choose your delusions, and he will bring your fears upon you. And yet, what, so people use that passage to say, well, isn't that you? Aren't you the one trying to tell me the dollar's going to collapse? I don't see nothing going on with that. You tell me, you're the one who tells me the housing market's going to tumble. Ain't nothing happened to me yet. And you say, well, you are right about food prices, but not by that much. It's all right. Nothing going to happen there. Trump will make it all better for you. So you're the one whose fears are going to come upon you, or they're going to say, if you keep talking like that, it's going to happen, and then I'm going to blame it on you. Well, how many scriptures in the book of Jeremiah? Okay, Isaiah 10:30. He was told, do not speak, do not prophesy in the name of YaHuWaH, only speak smooth things. Then he saith in another place, do not, Jeremiah 11, do not prophesy in the name of the Lord again, YaHuWaH, lest you die. Then another passage about do not speak in his name anymore. I'll just let them go. So Jeremiah gets depressed, says, I will not speak in your name anymore. These people will not listen. I don't care. And right now I'm in that position. I can promise you. And on and on and on. And so people, Ezekiel 33:30 through 33 also is another good illustration of they say they like to hear your word. They say, but Ezekiel, you see them talking through the wall and saying, what is the word of the Lord that I might hear it? But they delight in your word, but they will not do it. Isn't that something Christ said? Yahushua said? He said, do not say to me, Lord, Lord, Master, Master. Do not call me Lord and then not do the things I say. So, and this goes along with the delusions because a lot of people are convinced they're serving YaHuWaH, or they may even know that maybe they're not, but YaHuWaH will give them a little bit of a break because it's like, oh, this is all I'm really willing to do. I'm not really all that stuff about denying yourself, all that stuff about forsaking everything and the world and everything he said to go do, even to leave house, mother and father, brother and sister, houses and home, even hating wife and children if you combine the narrative of Matthew and Luke. For my name's sake. Oh, we don't have to do that today because God blessed us with prosperity, because God is the one who put good Christian Freemason men to write up a constitution and a Bill of Rights and discovered this great Christian nation that would appear at the end of time to offer freedom and prosperity to all who would come to it. And now immigrants who come to it are taken by ICE, kidnapped, deported, even if they're working hard, even if they were granted citizenship after entering illegally. And then all these other things. Your American dream has become a nightmare. Trump wants to go to war with the world. Have you forgotten in the past how the Danish prime minister, what he told Donald J. Trump, and Trump said, I want Greenland? He said a very dirty, nasty expletive starting with the letter F. And then next, I want Canada to be 51st state. Then Canada says, okay, we're going to cut ties with you now. You want to raise tariffs? Okay, here we go. So you read the headlines, and now Trump wants all these other things Trump has done with China and Russia by basically embargoing China and definitely embargoing Russia by high tariffs. And a high tariff is equivalent to an embargo. An embargo is tantamount definitively for making a total ban of all imports from a certain country. Cuba is on the list of many nations under an embargo. North Korea, Iran are heavily embargoed nations from other countries, but somehow they make it right through relations with a few. Now, why does that go back to Isaiah 66 when it says, YaHuWaH will choose all of your delusions and bring your fears upon you? Because your fear that you're suppressing is that maybe these things will happen, but I could care less. I'm going to continue to do as I'm going to do. I don't care what you say. Jeremiah 44, I'll continue to worship the Queen of Heaven because at least when I do it, I'm eating, I'm not being perished by the sword, I'm not being persecuted, and at least I'm able to hang around here and stay here, don't tell me to suffer persecution, because then I'll perish by the sword. I won't have enough to eat. I won't get to enjoy all the delicacies of Babylon. I won't be able to have my American Christian culture. I'll lose it all. I'll lose everything about America that I ever thought and dreamed could be mixed with the will of God, if only I did what you said. I ain't asking you to do what I say. Don't come to the Lord and say, Lord, Lord, and do not do the things I say according to his word. If you can't bring yourself to believe the word of Christ literally and quit inserting these post apostolic theologies like dispensationalism, amillennialism, Calvinism, and Lutheranism, and all these denominations, man, you're running yourself around the ringer, when you have to, and you're going around that mountain over and over and over again. So let's just talk about how many times YaHuWaH warns, the Father warns about, if you want to be deceived, he'll allow you to be deceived. If you continue to want to be deceived, I'll hand you over to it, and I will turn my back on you, and you will never be able to hear the Holy Spirit ever again. What about 1 Kings 22? Ahab wanted to go to war just like Trump now does. He said, hey, Jehoshaphat, you want to join in with me on this war at Ramoth Gilead? And we'll take Ramoth Gilead and we'll hack her to pieces. Jehoshaphat said, oh, okay, it's fine. Is there not now another prophet we have not yet talked to, who might be able to determine the will of YaHuWaH? And then Ahab said, yeah, there's this one guy I just cannot stand because he always speaks evil of me. It's in 1 Kings 22. I am telling you exactly what it says. Go read it and verify it. But Jehoshaphat said, oh, don't say that about yourself. Bring him over in here. And then this guy, Micaiah, who probably was the prophet Micah, after whom the book was written, spelled a different way. And then he said, okay, Ahab, you want to go to Ramoth Gilead? Go and prosper. Do battle. Surely you will conquer. Well, 1 Kings 22 is a good chapter to read. Every time Trump says, I want to go to war against another nation, you can read him that chapter and read yourself and remind yourself that this is exactly what Trump's trying to do right now, what Ahab did. But what did Ahab do? What did Micaiah the prophet say in that 1 Kings 22? You know what, Ahab? Because see, after he said, okay, Ahab, go prosper. Go ahead, go do it. Ahab said, now you don't speak to me that way. You just tell me, shall I go to battle at Ramoth Gilead? Micaiah was basically telling him, no. He was being cynical. I go, okay. Micaiah says, I'll tell you what. I received a vision of YaHuWaH that said, and now YaHuWaH has called out for a lying spirit, a spirit of God to deceive Ahab and cause all his prophets to prophesy that Ahab might fall at Ramoth Gilead. And a lying spirit came forth and to YaHuWaH and said, I shall go and be a lying spirit unto Ahab and to all his prophets, that they may prophesy, and that Ahab might fall at Ramoth Gilead. He repeated it. And then you even had a dumb Viking pull up his horns and say, Go ahead, Ahab, gore him, gore him. And then you look at the more toward the end of the chapter, and Micaiah got slapped in the face by that same Zedekiah for saying it, and then Ahab said, "Okay, look, you take this one here, you throw him in jail, and give him the water of bitterness and the bread of sorrows." And Micaiah had the last word too, and I'm going to have the last word with all you naysayers. Micaiah said, "If if these things do not come to pass, Ahab, I have not spoken the word of YaHuWaH." I've had this chapter ingrained in my soul for over 35 years. And now I'm here to tell you, if America doesn't fall by the sword, by nuclear holocaust, by invasion, I have not spoken the word of YaHuWaH. And in fact, the words of other prophetic figures like Dimitri Duduman, David Wilkerson, and others also shall not come to pass, and then we shall all together be declared as false prophets. And they'll call you a false prophet if you tell people America's going to fall because America's got these great nuclear weapons, all this wonderful technology, and yet they don't have enough nuclear missiles. It's incomparable to Russia's and China's store of nuclear weapons and warheads. Yet you're going to tell, see, so now the United States has withdrawn from the Ukraine war, at least from what we know. And so then they're going to go pick on little Venezuela because somehow they have the drug cartels and we're going to go wipe them out. And they already tried doing it in Mexico, and that their president, Claudia Scheinbaum or whatever, she's not even a Mexican. She's another Jewish priestess. She said, "No, you're not going to come in here." So now Trump goes crying and whining and saying, "Okay, I'll go into Venezuela then," because Scheinbaum at least do one thing: you're not coming for our oil. So now we're going to go. See, Trump wants to go into all these countries because America does need resources, and America's reserves are almost down to darn near nothing. And so now, what you got to do? All the people who voted for Trump who have not yet expressed remorse, and that's still half of America, is still willing to get on his bandwagon, even if he does, even if he is on the Epstein list, even if he is a pedophile and has 34 counts of felonies, even if because Trump got one thing that they want: prosperity, and they will go for prosperity. They will go for American patriot pastoral prosperity. They'll go for patriot prosperity. I have heard prayer calls of people who are highly admired make excuses for Trump, and I have not listened to her lately. I would like to see that she has changed her tune on Trump, but the way she has sounded in the past, somebody in Florida, somehow or another, she'll make an excuse for Trump too. Because she said about Trump before, "Oh, Trump must have just been a baby Christian. Oh, Trump just must have been this. Trump must have been that." People will talk away the truth because they want American patriot pastoral prosperity, and they will ignore the truth and destroy their own soul, just like Isaiah 32:7. The churl will no longer be called liberal, and the fool Nabal will not anymore be called bountiful. But the churl will devise evil plots and speak lies in order to destroy the poor among my people. And I told you in Isaiah 32 yesterday or the other day, there's a word in Isaiah 32:7, and blessings to you, Kevin, for coming on. Isaiah 32:7, it's the word cabal. Go look it up online on Blue Letter Bible or Bible Hub interlinear tools, and you'll see the Hebrew word cabal, and it means to destroy. And you have something today called the cabal who wants to destroy the world and take over the world, and these Jewish kabod who want to make us all out of their slaves by marking us with their mark of the beast. And cabal in Isaiah 32:7 is in many other places. You can just take a look at the rich store of scriptures. And then this word kabod applies to Balak, the son of Besor, that the book of Jude mentioned. Numbers 22 through 25 mentions this whole thing behind Balak, Balaam, and how Balak was able to pay Balaam to curse his people. And that word kabod, it does mean honor. Honor through what? Honor through riches. Who owns the banking system today? The Zionist Jews, who want all of us to lose. And if you have Christ, YaHuWaH Messiah, as your Savior, you cannot lose if you're determined to endure through tribulation and the tribulation and not take the mark of the beast. I don't care how much longer I have to be homeless. I don't care. I'm not going to join the CIA. I'm not going to say, hooray, hooray, America, when it is Mystery Babylon, USA. I'm not going to root for a government that is evil, defiled, and wicked above all else on the earth when I know Trump is a pedophile. And when I know that a lot of his other cabinet are blonde bimbos with butts and boobs, and they ain't got nothing else behind them, no qualifications, just like a lot of Democrats do the same thing. That's why I don't vote. I'm not partisan. I don't vote for any of it. I'm not in the paradigm. And you can't be a true prophet of the Most High in the modern day ecclesia if you vote. If you vote, you are not qualified to prophesy in the name of YaHuWaH under the gospel of YaHuWaH Messiah, Christ of Nazareth. You have no right to speak his word according to end time prophecy if you vote. I will tell anybody that to their face. I will try to do it as tactfully and courteously as possible, but I will not back down. I don't care if they throw me in jail. I don't care if another Republican wants to run me over with their car while I'm walking down the street. I don't care if another one wants to blow their exhaust at me while I'm sleeping on the sidewalk. I will speak the word of YaHuWaH, and I will not back down, and I'd rather you kill me tonight with a sword and end my misery. But to them, that's not good enough. They need someone to persecute. They need someone who's been as vocal as I've been since 2014. They need to make an example out of someone like me, and that's why it is better they not kill me, but to convert me. And believe you me, if you're like I am in any respect or manner, they want to do the same thing with you. I'll tell you what, they'd award me my PhD if I decided to be a turncoat to Christ and serve their evil NWO agenda. If you agree with the war in Venezuela, You're uninformed, you're not in prayer, and you're not looking at the word of prophecy we have had in the record Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Daniel, and what they call the little prophets, and even the New Testament prophets like Agabus, who's in the book of Acts twice, and other prophets and prophetesses who fear YaHuWaH in mind, soul, and spirit. And so I got a bad leg, and I am rejected of men. It doesn't matter how badly I'm hurt. It doesn't matter nothing. I'm not going to stop speaking. I have received a dishonorable discharge from the U.S. Army in 1989 because I refused to go to war and fight for that tyrant, Bush Sr., who would have had me killed at the end of that war had I gone. I was disqualified by a doctor because I couldn't do the duck walk, and I still received the dishonorable for not going. And it followed my employment record my entire life, and I was able to teach at some schools while I was working on my PhD. But I kept on being told, you have a good resume, you have good experience. Sorry, we really can't hire you. We really would like to hire you, but we cannot do it. It just took me enough time to figure out they dishonorably discharged me, and wrongly so, because they were determined to kill me at the end of Gulf War I. So, would you rather me kill myself, die, and go to hell for that man and for this country? Or would you rather me be saved, born again by the blood of Christ, and say no and suffer the consequences they want to place upon you? And this has happened to many others. I'm not the only one. Right now, I'm still trying to walk. Right now, I'm still trying to recover. And look, I am for you. But if you want to stick with America and their evil agenda, you're not going to receive mercy from YaHuWaH. That's why I have declared for years I am not a patriot. It doesn't mean I hate Americans, but I'm not going to adopt these American Republican Democrat ideas that contradict Scripture. Like I've already told you, you've already bought into a commonwealth by taking their W-2 jobs, by being a 1099 self-employed individual. There are ways in the tax code you could have avoided that. You chose not to. The churches surrendered to LBJ's 501c3 legislation, and now they can receive government faith-based funds. Then the Patriot Act addition to the 2001 Patriot Act in 2005 about faith-based funding. Now you're muzzled, you're silenced. You can't talk about the book of Revelation. You can't talk about end-time prophecy. You have to avoid it. You can't talk about the book of Enoch. You can't talk about the Apocrypha, although that was in the 1611 King James, and now we got to take that out too. So whatever doesn't sell well doesn't smell to them. It smells like hell. But Paul said the gospel is a fragrance of sweetness unto those who are being saved, but unto those who are perishing, it is a horrible scent. To many of you, smell like dung. But I can promise you, if you're not willing to stand up for the faith and for the truth, you're going to take the mark of the beast. I have suffered so much in these recent years. If I actually wanted to go work for the CIA now, I'd be damn near the bottom of hell, and I would deserve it. I suffer in my flesh the marks of Christ, just like Paul said it in Galatians chapter 6. and I'm not going to stop. And I'm going to encourage you to ask YaHuWaH to fill you with the spirit of wisdom, of prophecy, a spirit of counsel, wisdom, and all the seven spirits of the Holy Spirit. In serious times, what are you willing to give up for Yahushua Messiah, Christ of Nazareth? What are you willing to give up? Is there really anything in this world worth taking the mark of the beast? You're going to take that digital currency? You're going to do the digital ID, or what are you going to do? How far are you willing to go before you think you're going to be able to pull the plug on the system, before you realize you've already been plugged into the system and now you can't pull the plug? You're under their control forever by the devil. I am serious as a heart attack. I am not acting. I am not a playwright. I'm not a good marketer. I'm not a good salesman. I don't get contributions. I don't sell well. I'm just preaching the simple message of the gospel and the spirit of prophecy. And by the way, if you didn't know it, the book of Revelation 19 says that the testimony of Jesus, or the testimony of Yahushua, is the spirit of prophecy. Without prophecy, you have no testimony of Yahushua. So don't tell me you believe in Yahushua if you deny prophecy, and if you tell your members of your congregation not to prophesy in the name of YaHuWaH, lest you die. And at the minimum, lest you die means lest you be put out of the synagogue. To die means you might even be killed by the sword. You might be thrown in jail by the pastor who didn't like to hear you. Shall I go on? Let the word of Christ dwell richly in you, as Paul appealed to the Colossians. Singing with psalms, hymns, and spiritual psalms, making melody in your heart unto YaHuWaH, unto the Lord. Singing in church, these Christian songs just totally disgust me. It's almost gave me a rancid hatred for all music. It's really an unhealthy perspective. I do confess it. But I don't want to fall into New Age, Masonic, Christian, modern music that cannot uplift the soul. I know people hate me for that, but I have to go. I have to go all the way with Christ now, and I'm not going to condemn you for certain things. But I'll tell you what. All this is leading to the mark of the beast. All this is leading to being programmed into mind control. All this Christian music of more recent, after Keith Green and a few Michael Card and a few others, all this has turned into nothing but mind control, programming, predictive program songs. A lot of songs are predictive programming, and even in Christian music, a lot of movies are, a lot of things are. Even church, the names of church pastors are into some kind of project or program from the CIA. And I've already mentioned Amir Sarfati, and how the Greek word Sarfati means frog out of Exodus 8. And that's how I have arrived at the conclusion that Amir Sarfati of the Calvary Chapels is a spirit of frogs in Revelation 16. A lot more could be said, but if you have eyes to see and ears to hear, and YaHuWaH brings it to your attention that you should go look up a Greek word, a Hebrew word, or look up something that's been in predictive programming, that's one way to unlock a key to end time biblical prophecy. But stick to the word and don't go do all this other outside, way far gone stuff I don't like. Stick to the word. He'll show you the spirit of revelation and of prophecy. This is Isaac Joseph, the Benjamin Bedouin, MYDYR. Just to make an appeal to you, you don't have to be like me, but do carry with you the spirit of prophecy. Thank you, Kevin, for joining. And for the rest of you who are going to watch it, please watch my under the Substack under the Substack account. Watch the last couple videos about my appeals that we do have needs, and see what those needs are, and pray if you might be able to help out in some way or another. And I'll leave the contact, and I'm going to put my email if you want to contact me. It's going to become harder to reach me because I'm going to be more on the run. And I'll try to put this in the comments as soon as it fully posts and is fully visible to everybody. Signing out. Shalom.